"You're under arrest, Grandpa." He didn't flinch, didn't ask why, just stood there, calm as stone, while the cuffs snapped on. His eyes didn't bart, didn't plead, just fixed straight ahead, like he'd already seen this moment before, like he'd been expecting it. The kind of quiet that isn't fear, just acceptance. If you're new here, welcome to Chronicle Hub. We tell stories that others overlook, and trust me, you're going to want to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. The courtroom was small, old wood benches, yellowing walls, a creaky ceiling fan that hummed louder than the tension in the air. Some people chuckled when he walked in. An old man in handcuffs? Must be a joke, right? One juror smirked, another rolled her eyes. The prosecutor, young, polished, rehearsed, barely hid his grin. To them, Daniel Rigg was just a crusty vet who probably yelled at teenagers and waved flags a little too proudly, a relic, a has-been. What they didn't know, what nobody in that room realized, was that the man in chains once ended a war with a single shot. And the only person alive who could prove it? He was on a flight headed straight for that courthouse. Stick with us, and hey, if you haven't subscribed to Chronicle Hub yet, now's the time. Stories like this, they deserve to be remembered.
Daniel didn't say a word. Not in the courtroom, not when he was arrested, not at any of the 3 hearings leading up to this one. He just showed up on time, wearing the same jeans, same plain shirt, same distant look like he was walking through smoke no one else could see. To the guards, he was unsettling. Not because he was violent, because he was silent. That kind of stillness makes people nervous. They said it started at a gas station. A younger guy, mid-30s, protein shake kind of guy, claimed Daniel had threatened him. Said the old man muttered something about military violence, whatever that means. No weapon, no blood, just words. And yet somehow those words carried enough weight to drag him into a courtroom. It should have been dismissed. Most cases like this are. But Daniel didn't defend himself. Not once. He just listened. Sat with that same blank calm while people whispered about PTSD and bitterness and what war might do to the mind of a man left alone too long. The town papers didn't help. One headline called him a disgruntled ex-Marine. Another quoted a neighbor who said he walked like a ghost. Nobody bothered asking what he did before the trailer, before the solitude, before the silence. Daniel Rigg, 66. Former U.S. Marine. That's all the case file said. No family, no friends, no defense. Just a charge. And a man whose boots had seen more ground than most people drive in a year. We're halfway through this story, and trust me, it only gets better. Make sure you subscribe to Chronicle Hub so you don't miss what happens next. The jury sat in silence while the prosecutor painted a picture of a dangerous man trapped in his own delusions. He served once, the man said, pacing the courtroom, but that was a long time ago. What we have here is someone living in the shadow of a uniform he no longer wears. A few jurors nodded. Others looked down. The judge stared ahead, unreadable.
And then, just as the jury left to deliberate, something happened. No sirens, no flashing lights, just a black SUV pulling up out front. A man stepped out, crisp uniform, straight posture, 4 silver stars gleaming on his shoulders. He walked through security without a word. Nobody stopped him. They knew better. Inside, the air shifted. The judge tapped a pen. The prosecutor scrolled his phone. Daniel didn't blink. Then the courtroom doors opened. People turned. A few gasped. The judge stood, not out of obligation, but instinct, because standing in the back of that room was General Samuel Wyatt, retired Chief of Special Operations Command. And he wasn't there for show. He was there for Daniel. And what happened next? It changed everything. The room didn't know what to do with itself. Cameras clicked. Pens froze mid-sentence. The general didn't speak to the judge, didn't glance at the lawyers. He walked, slow, deliberate, straight to Daniel Rigg. And for the first time that entire trial, Daniel looked up. No words, no salute, just eye contact. Heavy, familiar, like two men remembering something no one else could possibly understand. You're watching Chronicle Hub, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Do it now, because some stories don't knock twice. The judge finally cleared her throat. "General, what brings you here today?" Her voice cracked slightly, not from fear, but the weight of the moment. General Wyatt turned to her, then to the courtroom. His voice was low, steady. "I'm here because this man," he gestured toward Daniel, "is the reason I'm alive." Silence. Not courtroom silence. Soul deep, hold your breath kind of silence.
He doesn't know I came. Didn't ask me to. In fact, if I know him at all, he hoped I wouldn't. But I heard about this trial, and I couldn't stay quiet. He took a few steps forward. 31 years ago, I was pinned behind a crumbling wall just outside Fallujah. My team was scattered, no communications, 2 men already down. And then, a miracle. One sniper, just one, opened a path. 12 targets, under 5 minutes, each shot clean. The final one, a moving rooftop hatch, crosswind, 936 yards. That shot saved my life. People started whispering. Someone dropped a pen. The prosecutor turned pale. "That sniper," Wyatt said, locking eyes with Daniel, "was Gunnery Sergeant Daniel Rigg." And just like that, everything changed. You're watching Chronicle Hub, stories that deserve to be remembered. Subscribe if you believe some men shouldn't fade into silence. Wyatt raised a hand. The room fell still again. "I've read the case. I've seen the charges. And I'm telling you now, whatever words this man may have said in a parking lot, he has earned the right to be heard. Not dismissed, not labeled, heard." He turned toward the jury box, now empty. "Daniel didn't speak in his defense, not because he's guilty, but because he's tired. Tired of being misunderstood. Tired of watching silence be mistaken for threat. He didn't come back from war expecting praise. He came back hoping to disappear. But when chaos breaks loose and you don't know who to turn to, you pray someone like him is nearby." Then he said it, quietly, like a whisper wrapped in thunder. "You don't put men like this in chains. You put them in history books." And then he dropped to one knee. Not for drama, not for pity, for honor, for apology, for the weight of a debt that can never be paid. Gasps rippled across the courtroom. The judge's gavel trembled in her hand. The bailiff just stared. No one moved, not even Daniel. Not at first. But slowly, he stood, walked toward the general, and extended his hand. No speeches, no tears, just 2 men, once soldiers, meeting again not in battle, but in truth. The judge finally found her voice. "In light of this testimony and the extraordinary circumstances presented, I am dismissing all charges, effective immediately." Gavel down, chains off, no cheers, just breathless reverence. Daniel turned, not at once to the jury, still stunned, and walked down the aisle with the same slow, steady gait he had the morning of his arrest. Not proud, not bitter, just, "Ho." Outside, a row of veterans stood waiting. Some saluted, others didn't move, just watched him pass like he was something more than a man. Daniel Rigg never asked for recognition, never demanded respect. He lived quiet, carried ghosts, walked alone. But that day, That day someone stood for him. And maybe that's what justice is supposed to look like. Not loud, not easy, but right.
If you've made it this far, we want to hear from you. Have you ever known someone like Daniel? Someone who never asked for anything but gave more than anyone ever saw? Drop a comment. Share their story. Let's make sure silence doesn't bury honor. Let's make sure someone remembers. And if you believe stories like this matter, do one thing before you go. Subscribe to Chronicle Hub. Because remembering, really remembering, starts with listening.